On the 648th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. In Donetsk front, battles are ongoing in the Avdiivka sector. During the last 48 hours, many waves of Russian infantry units, each made up of dozens of soldiers, attacked the Ukrainian positions north of the chemical plant, and despite the response of the Ukrainian artillery and sniper units, which inflicted heavy casualties on the Russian forces, a part of them were able to penetrate and capture a number of dugout positions which are located between the village of Stepove and the chemical plant. Unfortunately, during their operation, the Russian forces committed a war crime, as a small group of Russian soldiers were seen opening fire over 2 Ukrainian soldiers who had just surrendered to the Russian forces after they ran out of ammo. One of the major Russian telegram channels, Rybar, admitted and confirmed the war crime done by the Russian forces. In an interview for the Ukrainian media, the head of the Avdiivka military administration, Vitaly Barabash, reported that soon after this event took place, the Ukrainian soldiers counterattacked and stormed the Russian forces on their newly captured positions, liquidating this unit of Russian soldiers. According to Ukrainian sources, in addition to the attacks near the chemical plant and east of Stepove, the Russian army is also launching powerful attacks north of Stepove, trying to bypass it and reach the village of Berdichi with the aim of widening the front line and putting even more pressure north of Avdiivka, eventually isolating the small village of Stepove, which they have been unable to capture until now. Geolocated footage published by Ukrainian sources shows that during the past few days, the Russian army made serious attempts to gather a large force for a decisive attack near Stepove. But as shown on these photos, it seems that a good part of the armored personnel carriers of the Russian forces were damaged and destroyed by the Ukrainian artillery and drone units, depleting the capabilities of the Russian army to carry out massive armored attacks over the Ukrainian positions and forcing them to use large waves of infantry attacks instead. On the southern part of the front, clashes continue in the industrial zone southeast of Avdiivka and south of the Ukrainian-controlled village of Sieverne. Despite the initial claims made by some pro-Russian sources about the full capture of the industrial zone, now some of the most reliable Russian sources are saying that the battles are still ongoing inside the industrial zone, as their troops have not been able to clear the entire stronghold. Russian forces also launched some small-scale attacks towards the villages of Sieverne and Pervomaiske, but were not able to make any significant advances in this direction. In Zaporizhzhia front, Russian and Ukrainian forces are fighting on the heights west of Robotyne, near the northern outskirts of Novoprokopivka, as well as northwest of the village of Verbove. As a result of their continuous efforts, Ukrainian forces were able to secure most of the strategic heights west of Robotyne, increasing the buffer zone and securing their right flank, which has allowed them to start using their armored units to attack on a much wider front towards the south. Recent geolocated footage shows that the Ukrainian infantry forces were able to capture new positions on the western heights and likely established a new defensive line along the small river that goes between the villages of Robotyne and Kopani. Seeing that now the Ukrainian forces are in control of most of the strategic heights, the Russian army has intensified their efforts to counterattack and try to push the Ukrainian forces out of the newly captured positions. Russian and Ukrainian sources published footage which confirms that during the last 24 hours, the Russian army launched at least 2 armored assaults against the Ukrainian forces. One of the Russian armored units moved in from the direction of Kopani, and upon reaching about 2.5 kilometers northwest of Robotyne, the armored vehicles of the Russian forces were seen covering the nearby tree lines with heavy cannon fire, which suggests that the Russian force was sent on a mission to try and stop the advance of the Ukrainian infantry forces in this direction. Another mechanized unit consisting of 2 BTR armored personnel carriers attacked about 2.5 kilometers southeast of the first unit. Russian BTRs tried to approach the Ukrainian positions and land their infantry forces, but were met by fierce resistance as Ukrainian forces were able to strike and disable one of the vehicles using an RPG, forcing the infantry unit and the second BTR to retreat without being able to successfully complete their mission. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, and have a great day.